Okay, let's recap from the last class. So in the last class, what we have done, we have discussed about the auto discovery. We have created instances in the API manager. Okay, and we have different options of creating instances. So let's quickly look at that. So from the API manager, if you want to secure your API, in other words, we'll say governance. Okay, so you want to govern your API. We need to first create an instance in API manager. Without that, we cannot apply the policies, right? So we have two options here. Either directly we can go on basic endpoint, or we can go with proxy endpoint. So in today's class, we'll see what are the pros and cons with basic and proxy. Okay. So today we'll create a instance for basic endpoint. Yesterday we have already created instance for proxy endpoint, and we have applied the policy also.
Yep.
Okay. And if you go to our Postman, this is what the result we have received yesterday. Okay. This is the recap from the last class. Okay. Yeah. Now, the moment we created a proxy endpoint, it was created. So the instance was created in Exchange. And if you want to access that particular endpoint now, proxy endpoint, okay, this proxy endpoint, if you want to access any client, right, he has to put access request over here. So this is the place where you need to, put a request for access. This is the only place. Okay. Now you need to select on which instance you want to, because single API can have multiple instance, dev instance, test instance, and prod instance, right? So we'll be selecting which instance you want. So I'm saying I want a dev instance. Okay. Select application, which applications, want to access this instance. So right now we don't have any, right? So we'll go ahead and create a client application. This application is nothing but a client applications. So I'll say bank API client. Okay. Description is optional. Everything is optional. So we'll go ahead and we'll say boss create it. So client has been created. Now I'll put a access request. So the moment I put an access request, the client applications will get created in the Exchange, and one contract will be created between this client and this endpoint, this API. Okay, let's have a look at it. So we'll go ahead and copy this client ID, client secret. I'll tell you and how many places you can get this. Okay, so we'll just say copy this, and just we'll put it in our notepad for now. Okay. So if you go here now, go back in Exchange. Now, if you see here, there is an option called My Applications. Okay, in My Applications, you'll see that this is the client just now, client applications we have created for our API. Now, from here also, you can get the client ID, client secret. Clear? So we have started with putting access request. Then we have created a client application. Now we are able to see that client application in Exchange itself. So in future, if I forgot the client ID, client secret, right, I or misplaced somewhere, I can come here and I can get the client ID, client secret from here. Okay. So this is the proxy endpoint we have created yesterday. Now, if you see here, okay, if I refresh and if I go to our API instance, go inside here, you'll be able to see contracts here. Now have a look at it. This contract is telling me that, hey, there is a client is associated with this API. Okay. Now, if you see here, you can see, you can identify, with the client ID, whether this is the client who is trying to access or not. So 36 EC3, if you go to Exchange, go to 36 EC3, right? Now if I go to my Postman, and if you remember, when we applied the policy, we said that we'll be sending client ID and client secret in header, right? So I can go here and I can pass those parameters. You need to be very careful while passing the parameters. Header parameters, name has to be exactly same, not hyphen. Okay, intentionally I added client ID, and then we'll add client underscore secret and value. You remember we have copied it in our notepad, so I'll just bring it here. So these are our values. So this is my client ID. Control C, go to the client ID section, paste it, and then go for client secret and paste it. Now, if I send the request, what happens? Okay. So if we go and this client ID and client secret, if you send it, right? So now on this instance, the policy was applied. The policy name was client ID enforcement, right? Now, when I'm trying to access my proxy API, internally it is calling some, it can call non-Mule API, or it can call Mule API. Proxy has that ability to call any external or any internal API. Okay. Now I'm trying to hit this URL with the credentials. Okay. Now these credentials with that. So first API gateway will come into picture. API gateway, who is controlling all the request. So once the API gateway sees the request, API gateway asks, hey, is there any policy in the policy folder? Policy folder will be there always on your worker. Yes, we have yesterday applied the policy and we have seen that that was downloaded and it was there in policy folder. It's a CloudHub, so we cannot see, but behind the scene, it was stored in the policy folder. So this API gateway will check policy folder and will try to execute that policy. Okay. So that policy will check the contract. Okay. In the contract, we have seen in the API instance contract, there is a client ID associated with. So with that client ID, it will identify who is the client. Okay. If those credentials are matching with that client, your policy will get executed successfully and it will allow to execute the business logic. It could be in your Anypoint platform or it could be outside of our Anypoint platform. If these credentials are not matching with this client, which we have created, we'll try that also. So this API gateway will again try to execute the policy. So this is the client X and we are passing credentials of Y. Then the policy will be executed in failure. And from here itself, from the API gateway itself, the response will be sent back as authentication denied. That response we have already seen yesterday, right? We got authentication denied since we didn't pass anything, right?
Yes.
So if we didn't pass anything, we'll get authentication denied. If we pass credentials of Y, it will say invalid client. Different error, okay? So based on the errors, you'll understand.
Got it.
Now let's go ahead, go to our Postman and see now. So I'm passing correct credentials now. Now see, I'm able to get the response. Let's try to pass, instead of 3, pass 4. 2 scenarios, okay? Correct scenario, error scenario, see, invalid client. If I don't pass client ID and client C, different error, okay? Altogether, I will look at it. Authentication denied. So these are certification questions, okay? If I don't pass the client ID, client secret, what will be the error? If I pass correct, what will be the response? And if I pass incorrect, what will be the response?
Okay. Got it.
Clear? Now
Yep.
let's go ahead. And now if you hit it, I have client ID, client secret. I'll change it to 3. Now I can invoke this API n number of times. There is no limitation on this. Since I have proper credentials, I can go ahead and I can trigger this guy n number of times. Now, my requirement was, if you remember yesterday, I want to allow this proxy 10 requests per minute. How I can achieve this? Okay, yesterday we have achieved the controlling access, right? Now today we'll achieve this one. So let's go ahead to our API manager. Okay, go to our instance now. So what we'll do is we'll remove this policy first. Okay, I'll show you first. If you have client ID enforcement policy, can I apply the rate limiting policy? Let's have a look at it. So there are difference. Okay, so if I go ahead and say we have rate limiting policy, right? Now see, SLA based policy I cannot apply. See, so there is another policy applied with the same provided characteristics. So if I want to apply this rate limiting SLA based, okay, first we'll go ahead and apply the rate limiting. Let's go ahead and apply this. Now rate limiting, what I'm trying to do is anybody from outside, if I have n number of clients, they all together. So let's say client 1, we'll create one more client. Okay, client 1, client 2. Now I'll apply a rate limiting, let's say 10 requests per minute. Okay, so we'll see this client, 2 clients will try to access this API more than 10 times. We'll see that what happens greater than 10 and what errors we are able to see. Okay, so we'll apply the rate limiting first. Then what we'll do? Then we'll apply the SLA based. And you'll be able to see that what is SLA based policy means.
Yep.
And why I'm applying this policy? Basically, what I'm trying to do here. So whatever target systems I'm hitting from my proxy API, I want to save that target system, because the target system is only able to handle 10 requests per minute. So that's the reason I'm trying to apply this policy, so that my target system will get safeguarded, right? My target system won't get, overloaded, or even some scenario, if I keep on sending requests, right, it will be unresponsive. I don't want that situation. So that's the reason I'm going ahead and I'm saying, boss, I'll allow only 10 requests per minute, so that my target system or my entire system will be work smoothly without any issues. Clear?
Yes.
Yeah, let's go ahead and let's go down. In the policy section. Oh, okay. So I have already on the page where I should configure. So number of requests, how many requests do you want?
10.
10 requests. Time?
1 minute.
1 minute, right?
This is in minutes.
We'll go ahead and minute. Okay. Simple. Okay. I'll show you what is this expose header means. Okay.
Okay.
Apply. No, see,
So
yeah, go ahead.
So for different client, we need different client ID and secret, right?
Yeah. So we'll right now we'll try with the same and we'll see. Okay. For rate limiting, let's go ahead and we see what happens now. So it will take some time for 40 to 45 seconds. So we'll wait for that and we'll try it. Okay. So let me go to my runtime manager and let's wait for the policy to get applied. Once the policy is applied, we'll go ahead and we'll count. Okay. So in dev environment, we have deployed our application. So if I go to my application, which one? Proxy. If I go to logs, if I quickly see the last log, yes, see the rate limiting policy is applied now. Okay, let's go to the postman. Okay, so now let's count. Okay, one by one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, successfully 11. See here, quota has been exceeded and 4 to 9 is the error. And what is the message? Too many requests. This is also certification question. Okay, if your rate limit is 10, what kind of error you will expect from the output after crossing threshold? Clear? You should be very careful what error message you will get it. Okay. And what is the HTTP status code? You'll get it 429, too many requests. An error message, quota has been exceeded. Now I was about to show you headers in the response because we have exposed the headers, right? While configuring our policy. Now have a look at this. HTTP rate limit, it is 10. Now what is remaining? 0. When it will get reset? After 1 minute. Okay, so these are the milliseconds we have. Okay. Got it? Clear?
Yes. What is this content length and connection?
Yeah, this is about the response content length, right? So 40 characters or something. If you go ahead and copy those content, right? The response of this, right? That will be the content length. Okay. So we'll wait for one minute. But what we'll do, we'll go ahead and create one more client now. Okay. And I'll try to show you whether those client, both the client will share this number 10 or they will get 10-10 quota. Okay. That's what my point now. So if I go here in the exchange, go to all assets. Okay. By us, we'll go here and we'll create one more client now. Same instance. Now I don't want this bank API client. I'll go ahead and create one more client. Now this time I'll say okay, go ahead, create it. Now Control C, we'll go back here, Control V. Okay. Now what we'll do, we'll go to Postman. Okay, and I'll say copy, duplicate. So everything will be there as it is. So just I need to change the client ID and client secret. Okay. So we'll give a name to this guy. So copy this client ID, client secret, Control C, Control V. Okay. And client ID, Control C. You are getting what I'm trying to do here, right? So from two clients, I'm trying to access this API within 1 minute. Now, every client will get 10 requests or this 10 requests will get shared between these two clients. Because while applying the policy, I didn't mention anything, right? I didn't mention that this client will get this many requests, this client will get this many requests. Clear on that point? This is my client 1. This is my client 2. Okay, let's have a look at it. So let's see first the we'll hit one more time and see whether the 1 minute is done or not. So if I go to body, okay, so 1. Yeah, I could see the response. That means my quota has been reset. See here, 9 requests are pending, and the threshold is 10. Okay, so now I go to client 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now check the header. Remaining is 5. So client 2 I have triggered 4 times. Client 1 I have triggered 1 time, and only 5 are remaining. Right? That means the quota has been shared between these two guys. Right? If I go ahead now, it was showing 9, right? Now it's showing only 4. So that means the quota is getting shared between these two clients. So client 1 I have triggered 2 times, right? Only 2 times. Go ahead. 3, 4, 5, 6. I think the 1 minute was done and it was already resetted, right? But you have clearly seen, right? The quota was shared between two guys.
Yep, got it.
Correct? Now,
In real
so
scenario, we will get client ID and client secret from our client, right?
client ID and client secret.
We'll get it from our client, right? Or we will create that.
No, they will come to our exchange and they will request it, right? And via email or via some from the exchange itself, they'll be able to see the client ID, client secret.
I didn't get this point.
Okay, so see, if that user is external user, right? If that user is external user, for the APIs which I want to publish it for the public, right? Those will be available where? Those will be available on my public portal.
Yep.
Public portal here.
Yes.
And from here, he will be able to. So let's make this API. Let's go and make our API, proxy API, as a share, make it public. If he's an internal user, definitely he'll be having access to my exchange. If it is a public user, which is outside of my my Anypoint platform account, he'll be able to see this exchange, right? Public exchange. Now from here, he'll put access, right? See here, request access. So he's only the external user is doing this activity, not me.
Okay.
Now he will create here, right? He'll get an option here to create application. He will create application for himself. The moment he create application, right, he'll be able to see the credentials here itself.
Okay.
He will copy post those client ID, client secret, and save for his future use.
Don't we need to configure it in our files that if we hit this one, they can hit properly, and they can they don't get the errors.
Whoever is trying to access this, first definitely he need to take this client ID and client secret and then configure in there from whichever client they are calling, right? Just now I did, right? In Postman I have configured it. If they are accessing this API from their API, definitely they need to configure this client ID and client secret.
Okay, we don't need to do that, right?
We don't need to. As an API owner, we don't need to do this. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
So for example, if I want to access this API, how I'll do it? Go to my project. Okay. Go to Mule file. So let's say this is your API from where you want to access it. I'll just randomly put one HTTP requester component here. Okay.
Okay.
We have dedicated session for this. Okay. So to access it. Okay. Now in HTTP requester, what you'll do? You'll go and try to configure. Now in this HTTP requester component, here, okay, in the URL section, you'll take this URL, Control A, Control C, go back to your, here.
We'll remove the customer, right?
Sorry?
Need to remove customer.
Entire URL you want, right? Entire URL, because HTTP requester component will hit actual URL. Now in the header section, you will pass client ID and client secret. That's it. This API will give you a response. That response will be your output of your HTTP requester activity. This one.
But don't we need to remove customer because the real
here
URL...
we need actual URL. Here we need actual URL. Okay. Because then from where you will pass this customer. Okay. So we have dedicated session. Don't worry, Kunal. Okay.
Okay.
So we have dedicated how to consume external API, how to consume secured API, how to consume the SOAP web service, all those sessions we have. That time you'll get complete clarity on this.
Okay. Fine. Yeah.
Okay, let's go back. Let me remove this from here.
Okay.
I'll delete it because I wanted to use this code one more time. Okay. Okay, let's go back to our. Okay, so you understood that the client has to come to exchange put a request, and then he will get a credentials. Then those credentials will be used while invoking the API. Now, just now we have seen that the quota, the rate limiting quota is being shared between the clients now. They won't be happy, right? They will see that, okay, quota is 10 requests and I just triggered 4 requests and I'm getting 429 error. Right? He won't be happy. So he will be saying that, hey, give me my quota. So if you are saying, okay, there is a subscription for trial account or for platinum account or for titanium account, whatever threshold you are setting there, that threshold I should get. Okay, so if I go now back, we have option to apply the policy called SLA based policy. Now, if I go right now and try to apply the SLA based policy, what will happen? It says that already one policy is applied. I cannot go ahead and apply this policy now. Okay. So what I'll do, which policy is that? Go back to the policies.
Header one?
No, client ID enforcement. So remove this policy. We'll remove this policy also. And now we'll go ahead and first we'll create SLA tiers. Okay, so first SLA tier we'll create, we'll say trial. And the trial will give automatic approval. And we'll say request, hey, you can only trigger 5 times in trial account. Time 1, select 1 minute. Okay, so trial account, you can access only 5 times this within 1 minute. Okay, add. Yep. Create one more tier here, which is gold. Okay, we'll follow our license. Now this time I said I'm not going to give you automatic approval. It should be a manual. So I'll say you can try 10 times in gold, 1 minute, and okay, add. Now we'll go ahead and we have 2 separate clients, right? Those 2 separate clients will put an access request for this SLA tiers now. Okay, let's go ahead now to the policies. Now apply that rate limiting SLA based policy. Quality of service. Now see, it's active now. We'll go ahead and we'll apply. So again, we are saying we'll be passing client ID and client secret in headers. Okay, we'll expose here headers, apply this. Now this expose header will help in a response. So by looking at that response headers, the client will decide, okay, how many requests I can send within 1 minute. How many are left? When this quota has been, it will get reset. Right? That information will be there if I check this checkbox.
Okay.
Now, since I have applied the policy now, I need to go to exchange again. See if you look at the exchange now, request. So let's first look at whether the already contract is there. See, already 2 contracts are there now. Okay. So I need to delete these contracts first. So revoke it. Delete. Revoke it. Then delete it. I'll go with the fresh contract now. Okay. So now let's go to the exchange, request, select dev, select applications. I'll select first application. And then now see SLA tiers are coming. So for client 1, we'll select trial SLA, and you can clearly see here, he'll be able to trigger only 5 requests in 1 minute. Okay, request access. This client ID and client secret, this will be old one only because the client is already there. Okay, we don't need to copy this. Okay, you can even confirm it. 16F EC3.
Yep, got it.
Yes. 16F EC3. If you create new client, then only new client ID, client secret will be generated.
Yeah.
Okay, close this. Again, one request I'll put it for gold SLA now. Now, second client, gold. Now, in the case of gold, it will allow me 10 requests in 1 minute. Okay, let's have a look at it. This time it will say this is a manual approval. Your request has been received and it's pending. You'll be notified by email when status changes, or you can check it on the application page. Clear?
Okay.
Got it? Close. Now, if you go to my API manager, in the contract section, I'll refresh it. One contract is already automatically approved. Another contract is waiting for my approval. See how? Look at it. Now it's up to me whether to approve or reject. I'll go ahead and approve. The moment I approved it, right, the client will notify it, okay, with the client ID and client secret. Or he can come to Exchange, look at the application, and in application section, he'll be able to see client ID, client secret. Is that clear?
Yes.
Okay, now let's go to the Postman now. So first tab is our client 1, right? Now look at, hit this guy and see the headers. Now see here, quota is 5, 4 are remaining. For client 1 trial subscription, you remember we have allowed only 5 requests. Now client 2 subscribe for gold subscription. Now if I trigger this guy, see it says that 10 requests and 9 are pending. Now if you remember, I already triggered client 1 once, but did that client and client 2 share this quota? No. They are getting separate quota now. They are independent.
Got it.
Clear?
Yep. So
now,
have you opened 2 Postmen at a time?
Sorry?
Have you opened 2 Postmans?
No.
Right.
I have created 2 tabs.
Okay.
I have created 2 tabs. Have a look at it now. 1 tab, 2 tab.
Okay.
In 1 tab, I am passing client 1 credentials. In another tab, I am passing client 2 credentials.
Okay.
Clear? Okay.
Yep.
So now if you look at this, we are trying to secure our API with client ID, client secret. We are trying to assign the quota so that we can safeguard our complete network work smoothly without any hiccups or without any spike. So whenever there is a spike, only the whatever request threshold we have defined, till that will be processed and rest of the thing will be rejected. Clear?
Yeah.
Okay. Now let's go ahead and try to understand. Now the same thing will be true for basic endpoint also. Okay. Now let's try to understand. Now this is our API manager, from where we are actually applying the policies. Now this is our Mule environment where our business logic is running. Okay, so this is my Mule app, actual Mule app. And in first, we have created proxy app here. Right, this proxy app is hitting my Mule app. Here I have created instance. I have applied different policies. And those policies are getting applied on this. And wherever client is triggering my proxy app, based on the policy, he is getting that request quota. Now, advantage of this, what? Let's say this application will have basic endpoint, or we'll say implementation. Okay. implementation URL. Now, right now we are applying the policies on proxy URL. Proxy URL. So this implementation URL is not exposed to the external world. We are only exposing this proxy URL. Right? This is called masking of URL. That means external world only knows that actual implementation is by this URL. They are not aware of that, which is actual implementation URL. Internally, we are triggering this, right? So we are hiding the implementation URL. Now, what is the advantage we are getting here? If somebody wants to attack my API, they will be actually attacking proxy API. If somebody wants to attack DDoS attack, right? These attacks, right? They wanted to say, send very bulky request or, n number of requests continuously. Those will get attacked my proxy API. They will bring down my proxy API, but my implementation is safe. It's safeguarded. It's hidden. It's masked. Okay. Clear? Now, second advantage we are getting it. Now, for example, if I apply this policy, HTTP caching. Now, HTTP caching, what happens? It will get executed over here, right? Now, think about it. If I directly apply the policy on my implementation, we'll discuss that point also, but let's take this scenario. Now, you deploy this app, Mule app, with 0.1 vCore. With 0.1 vCore, how much memory you'll get it? How much memory?
500?
500 MB.
Yeah, 500.
Right?
Yeah.
500 megabytes, okay, not bit. Capital M and capital B.
Yeah.
Now, let's say your Mule application itself required 300 MB. And you're doing caching also. And let's say this caching requires 250. On your worker, only 500 MB is available and your requirement is 550. What will happen to your Mule worker?
It will get down.
It will get down. It will be crashed. Now, this scenario, if you don't want, okay. Now, what you did, you applied the proxy via proxy URL. Now, this caching will get applied on your proxy app. So now, whatever this 250 requirement was there, that requirement will be applicable to this proxy because your caching is running on this particular Mule worker. Actual implementation is running over here. What was the requirement of the actual implementation? 300 MB. That will get satisfied by this worker. This 250 will be satisfied by this worker. This is another advantage we are getting it with the proxy. First one is masking URL.
Yep.
Second one is handling this kind of scenario use case where HTTP caching requires the Mule worker memory. Third advantage, so this is first advantage. This is second advantage. Third advantage is now I want to call non-Mule API. Non-Mule API. I want to consume this. And I want to secure this API, non-Mule API. Now proxy is the only option. Okay, let's look at that quickly. So let's see this. I have very, very good free REST API. Okay, which is running somewhere. I don't know where it is running. recrest.in. Okay, I'll share this URL. It's here. Or one more API is there, something called JSON placeholder. Okay, this is one. These are freely available REST APIs. Now they are running somewhere. They are not running inside my Anypoint platform. And these are free. Okay, I want to secure this API. Okay, and I want to access it from my Anypoint platform. What is the option we have? We have option. So let's copy this URL. JSON placeholder. I'll just give it in chat. Please keep it with you. This one. I didn't copy. Control A, Control C. This is the URL, one URL, or request.in, this one. If you go down here, it gives a proper beautiful UI. If you want a single user details, this is the URL, you can get it. Go ahead. I don't want to take any credit for this. Somebody, for community, they have done this hard work. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, without any implementation, without writing any Mule app, you want to access this. How will you do it? Go to our API manager now. Okay. Let's go to API manager. Let's say add new Mule Gateway, deploy proxy, and I'll give a name JSON player. Okay. Sorry. Hyphen proxy API. Okay. Go ahead and say next. I'm not having this on my exchange, right? I need to create new asset name. We can go ahead and say JSON player proxy API. HTTP API. Next. Okay, have a look at it. You need an implementation URL. That's it here, right? So I'll go ahead and copy that URL, JSON player URL. Okay, go ahead, implement it here. Control V. Okay, so if I go ahead and is it HTTPS or HTTP? Control C. Just go to Control A, Control V. It's HTTPS. Okay. Now you should not pass complete URL here. Just pass this one. Okay. So that while hitting my proxy API, there you can pass the resource path. This is the implementation URL. Go ahead. Save this. Save and deploy. Now, if you remember, this is publicly accessible. Now, via proxy API, I can secure this. So I'll give my proxy URL to everyone. They will be using proxy URL, and on that proxy URL or proxy endpoint, I'll apply the policies. And I know how to apply the policies. Just now we have seen. Clear? So now if you go to the instances here,
Yeah.
One API is getting deployed. See, this is unregistered right now. If you go to the runtime manager right now, one proxy app will be deployed with a minimum 1.1 vCore. If you go to the settings here, it takes minimum 0.1 vCore. See, clear? Now this public URL, which is running somewhere, implemented in some other technology, I don't care. I just want to know that what is the URL or on which endpoint this external API, REST API is reachable. That's it. Clear?
Yep.
Yeah, once it is available, we'll trigger that. But let's go now and try to apply or try to create a basic endpoint now. Okay, let me go to my API manager now. So this was for proxy. This is for proxy. This was for Mule API proxy. This is for external API proxy. We don't know, non-Mule API. So this point is clear, I guess, right? Proxy for both. Okay. Now I'll say add new API. Mule Gateway. Now I say connect to existing application basic endpoint. Okay. So first we need to create this endpoint. Okay. Then only we'll be able to connect with the. Now I need to get this auto discovery ID. I need to get those environment credentials manually now in case of basic endpoint. In the proxy endpoint, I didn't do anything. Automatically it happened, right? If I show you the recently we have deployed this, right? If you go to the properties, all these things are captured automatically by proxy endpoint.
Yep.
Right? Now, if you want a basic endpoint, we need to do manually. So let's go ahead first, create an instance. Step 1. Create new or create from Exchange. Yes, my API is there in Exchange. So I'll select the API. Which one? This one, right? This is my actual API, correct? Go ahead and say next. Now, in this case, see, implementation URL is optional here in case of basic endpoint. See, because we are directly applying on basic endpoint. So do you need implementation URL? No. The endpoint will directly get connected with the implementation itself. Okay. So let's look at that now. So this instance will be created for us. You should not have anything over here. Okay. Delete that. Save. Now I'll get, so the status is unregistered. To complete the registration process, you need to connect this API to your Mule application using auto discovery ID. Have a look at it, this message. Okay, so first I'll note down this ID. Note down this ID. Let's go to my implementation, my Anypoint Studio. Go to global elements here. Create. Just search for API auto discovery. Go ahead here. Add that ID value here. Control V. In real scenario, best practice says don't hard code anything. But for now, we'll hard code it. You should here give a property name, and that property name during runtime, you can keep on passing it. Because same API you will deploy it in dev environment, you will deploy it in prod environment. So let's do that. Okay, let's not add that. Let's not hard code it here. So I'll give a property name, dollar curly bracket. This is the syntax to externalize the property. Okay, and I say API dot ID. Whatever name you want, you can say API auto discovery ID, API. I will say instead of API ID, we'll say API auto discovery dot ID. Okay, is that clear?
Yes.
And you will point it to the main flow. Okay, whoever is your router flow here, you point this discovery ID to that flow, because from that flow all the connections are connected, right? All the flows are connected from that main flow. So you need to point to that main flow. Clear? Now one more point here. One auto discovery ID, you can point to only one flow, 1-to-1 mapping. You cannot point one ID to multiple flows. This is very, very important.
Okay.
Do we have option to point this ID to multiple flows? No way. At a time, you can select only one. That means one auto discovery ID can point to only one flow, not application. Very, very careful. I'm repeating again. One auto discovery ID will point to one flow, not application. One application can have multiple flows.
Got it.
You got my point, right?
Yep. And it should be the main flow, right?
Yeah, it should be main flow. So copy this because we need this. Say okay. Okay. Now you'll go ahead and deploy this. Before deploy, I need two more information, right? So I say this is my ID. Okay, so ID value we got it, right? So we have already created instance. Let's go ahead and get that value again. Control C and paste it where? In this location right now for a moment. Now I need two properties. Okay, and I have I remember that we have discussed this. Now to connect this, now this is a scenario we are trying out. This is my API manager. This is the basic endpoint I have created here. Basic endpoint. So this instance I have created for basic endpoint. Now this basic endpoint instance, I am going to connect with directly implementation. This is my implementation running over here. Right now I have not deployed it. The previous one, forget about this, okay?
Okay.
Now to deploy this and to connect this, I need to pass, while deployment, I need to pass two things. First, I need to pass auto discovery ID, auto discovery ID, because I have externalized it, right? And second one is environment credentials. In whichever environment you are planning to deploy your implementation and wherever you have created this basic endpoint instance. Okay. So first thing, I got the auto discovery ID already. I have copy pasted that. Second, now I need this environment credential to authorize this. With auto discovery ID, you will be able to connect, but to authorize whether this policy will get downloaded on this and it will get executed on this implementation or not, that authorization, that authentication will be done by this environment credentials. So those things I need to get it. So let's go ahead and get those. Go to API manager again. And it's very easy to get it. Either you can go to access management or from here itself directly you'll get it. It's very easy to get it from here because in the same environment you are there. And from here, you copy this client ID and client secret. Copy this. Go to your Postman here. Notepad. And go back. Copy these credentials. Control C. Go back to the. And what is the property name? This property name is inbuilt property name. By that property name only, Anypoint platform understand what is the credentials. Okay, so the property name you need to be given this name only, Anypoint dot platform dot client underscore secret equal to, okay, shift home, control C, control V. Instead of secret, what will be passing? Will be passing ID. Am I clear so far?
Yes.
Platform spelling is wrong. Should be very careful, okay? I do this mistake always, so. Okay, so again, I'm checking it. So auto discovery ID is ready. Anypoint.platform.client underscore ID, anypoint.platform.client underscore secret. Yes. So these three things, I'll pass it. And my endpoint or my implementation will get connected with my basic instance in my API manager. Okay, let's do this. Now copy this first, copy it. Okay. Now let's go to the Anypoint Studio, right click, go ahead and say deploy to CloudHub. Okay, deploy to CloudHub. So it will show you this screen, right? This is available. I am deploying it to the, so I don't want to override it. I'll give a new name. This is for basic. Okay. I'll say hyphen endpoint. One application you can deploy n number of times. Okay. With different names. Now this is a jar selected. In the properties section, nothing is there right now, right? You can go to text view and you can copy post those values. Make sure there are no spaces, nothing. Okay. You can even verify it. Table view. Now see properly these are three important things I want to pass. Clear? What did I do? I have created the basic endpoint instance in my API manager. I got this ID. I got the environment credentials and secret wherever I'm planning to deploy my app and wherever I have created the basic endpoint instance. Clear? I have created in dev environment. Hope that
Yes.
is clear. Go ahead and say deploy now.
Okay. All these properties which we have passed here, can we pass in the file, and means can we use any files from the application
No, these are runtime properties. We have to pass this at runtime.
here only, right?
Yeah, here only. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, because this is of dev environment, that's why we need the client ID. But
Yeah, you need
can't
to
we
get the
like
client secret for each every environment.
yeah, but can't we make a placeholder, and can't we make a dynamic here?
Yeah, during runtime you can write a command. So this will be a Maven command, right, for the deployment. So you can write this command when you write a CI/CD pipeline, right? I'll come to that point also. How to make it dynamic.
Okay.
So right now we are hard coding, correct? And
Yep.
manually you are writing it.
Yep.
So this same application you can deploy this way. Okay. So you can deploy this way, like enter. So you can say mvn clean deploy. Okay. And then you can give this property name. So the name hyphen minus d and property name is this. Control C, Control V. Okay. And every time when you are hitting this command inside dev environment, these values will be dev environment values. And when we are trying to deploy it in the test environment, these values will be test environment values.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll see that in the future.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or even you can get these values from variables. So in your GitHub Actions, Bitbucket, GitLab, you can create environment variables there. And from those environment variables, you can get these values. Because environment credentials will be always same, right? They are not going to get changed in entire Anypoint platform life. Okay, so you can create those variables over there in GitHub Actions, GitLab, Bitbucket there, and keep on using from there itself. So you can directly say that like this way. Dollar in curly bracket, those variable names.
Yep. Got it.
env dot client id, something like that, whatever name you are given in that. Okay, so we'll see this. Okay. So when we have CI/CD session, we'll see this. So let's look at that, whether our application is deployed or not. So still it is unregistered.
I think we just need to refresh the page.
Yeah, unregistered. So let's see the runtime manager. It's still getting deployed. The CloudHub is little slow today. It's deployed. 18 means this one, right? Yeah, basic endpoint. Okay, check the logs. It should tell application is restarted. And let me check that. Blocked message. It's not yet done. Unblocked. No. Unregistered. Is the right value we pass? This both are okay. Control C. Setting. Properties. API auto discovery.id. Control F, Control V. Yes, that's correct one only. ID. It takes time, but let's wanted to confirm everything. Unregistered still, and I'm not able to see that log over here. That log has to come. It started, but it didn't apply. It has to block that ID first. Block. No message.
So there is a limit, like we can deploy this many applications.
No, not really. I have 0.5 here available in dev. Let me check. And I have deployed in dev only, right? Yeah, I have 0.5. I have just deployed 3 applications, right? That means 0.3 only. 0.4. Okay. If there is no space, right, this deployment will be, it would have went in a failed status, but it deployed successfully. And why the logs are not coming? API kit. Application deployed successfully. Okay. So one mistake I did it. Okay. So yeah, good to have that mistake. Okay. So if you remember, we created this property. Okay. Now I'll try to, so you need to create one property file here. That's the reason. So right now what we'll do is, instead of creating those files and all, we'll hard code that property first directly.
Okay.
So we can avoid that creating property file and all those stuff. Okay, later we'll see that. We have dedicated session for that. Okay. I'll go back. And first of all, what we'll do, we'll go to settings. I said delete this. Okay. Now, I'm not sure, did I saved it? Looks like I didn't save it, right? Yeah, that could be the mistake. Okay. I made the change, but I didn't save this file. Yeah, that was the error. Okay. But anyway, we'll go with the hard coded value right now.
Okay.
Anypoint platform, deploy to CloudHub. Yeah, that should work. Okay, but I don't want to take that risk now and waste the time. We'll go with hard coded value right now, and then when we'll be discussing the properties, externalizing properties, that time we'll see that. Go to properties section now here, and I'll only paste these two. Okay. Let me try what is wrong in that. So anyway, we hard coded, so we'll copy these two properties and hope you got my point, right? So only two properties we are passing it, another one we are hard coding in the code itself.
Okay.
Okay. And the issue was I didn't save the file. Okay. not because of this externalizing property or something. Okay. This scenario, we don't need any property file. Let's go ahead and say deploy now. It should work. Yeah, this kind of mistakes we do, right? We make a change and we didn't save the file, and
yes,
we'll waste
I
this
got
time.
that point.
Yeah. Okay. So let it deploy. One API was deployed already, JSON player, right? So let's take this URL, copy link address. If I go to my Postman, I can go ahead here, Control V. And if you remember the resource path, it was users. And now you can pass any ID over here, 1 or 2. Trigger it. It will give you proper response. See here, you change, keep on changing. 4. Now you can go ahead and apply on this proxy endpoint a policy, and you can secure this API. And you can share this secure API endpoint to your clients. Clear? So we have seen how to trigger the Mule app also from your proxy endpoint. We have seen how to trigger non-Mule REST API also from the proxy endpoint. And just now we have deployed one more for basic endpoint now. Okay, so my app is getting deployed now. Now we'll check the logs. Now it's getting deployed. Now this time this unregistered will be changed to active. Okay. Let's wait for it. So meanwhile, I'll explain one more point. So the proxy way of doing it little expensive, because for every API, you are having one proxy API. If you want to go with the proxy approach, right? So that means every time I am actually consuming extra 0.1 vCore. So that is the cons of proxy. Advantage we have seen already. If you want to, have the scenario HTTP caching scenario, if you want to hide or mask the implementation URL, or if you want to trigger the non-REST API, non-Mule REST API, all are advantages. But biggest disadvantage is you should be very rich person to have, proxy endpoint for each and every API. Clear? And that is the biggest advantage of basic endpoint. With only 0.1 vCore, we are able to achieve whatever requirement I was looking for. Okay, controlling access. Okay, a rate limit, everything will be achieved via simple 0.1 vCore. But the disadvantage is, if you take the HTTP caching scenario, your worker may crash or very slow down, right? Because everything is getting executed on your worker only. All the policies are getting executed, everything. If you delegate that job, executing policy job, if you delegate that to somebody else, one person, if you do the job, right, and 2 persons are doing the same job, you'll get performance improvement, correct? The policies are getting executed in separate, your business logic is getting executed in separate worker, definitely you will see the performance improvement. But you need to pay for that. 0.1 vCore, you'll be paying extra. If you do everything on your worker only, executing your policy also, executing your business logic also, within a 0.1, that is 500 MB, then definitely your worker will be little slow. Correct? But since you are, if you look at the real flow, right? So you are hitting shared load balancer, then you are hitting proxy API, then you are hitting implementation here. So you are going in 3 hops, 1, 2, 3. So in proxy and in basic endpoint, in case of basic endpoint, directly you are going to implementation URL. So here there is a latency and performance improvement. So latency plus performance, it will be always similar to the basic endpoint. Because here completely one hop I am skipping, right? Directly I'm going via shared load balancer to the implementation URL. So each scope and each option has pros and cons. Okay, based on the situation, sometimes definitely you need to go for proxy. Right? The scenario could be this. Okay. So let's say you have your Anypoint platform here, and your organization says whatever requests are coming from outside world, request, they should not allow directly to my Anypoint platform. They should get sanitized first. Sanitized. So those sanitizations has to be done on Proxy API. So we'll be installing Proxy API here. All will be triggering Proxy API. Everything will get scanned over here. If that proxy request, whatever request is coming, if that is okay, then it will allow in the actual environment. So in this case, we really need Proxy APIs. And this environment, you can say that it's a dematerialized zone, DMZ. In DMZ, we'll deploy our Proxy APIs. In actual environment, we'll deploy our Mule API. I'll not give direct access to my Mule APIs. Those has to be sanitized over here first. Clear? This scenario definitely will go for proxy.
Yeah, got it.
Right? Clear. Now, if I refresh it, hopefully everything is fine now. Perfect. See here, active. The only issue was I didn't save that file. Okay. Otherwise, it would have been changed here from unregistered to active. Now, if you go to the logs, right? Definitely I was searching for one log, right?
Blocked.
One was blocked. Yes.
And unblocked. Yeah.
Right. Unblocked. So first initially it will block that so that nobody can use this auto discovery ID. It's unblocked, and when it got unblocked, it actually used those credentials. So if you go really be above this log, there'll be a authentication. I'll just show you that line, and we have already seen this. So this is a block, right? Yes. This is blocked, and it's unavailable. In between, there will be a client ID and
client ID and secret, which we have passed in a header.
Yeah, it will be authenticated. Some message will be there. Okay, from the API manager, it's authenticated. Something like that message will be there. Right? Yeah. Okay. Okay, so now you can go ahead and apply the policy on this guy. Okay, I don't want to repeat those steps again, but we got the clarity. In case of basic endpoint, we need to get the auto discovery ID manually. We need to inject it in the code. Inject. Okay. Then only the instance in the API manager and the implementation. So this IMPL will get connected by this inject. This connection will get authenticated and authorized by environment credentials. And this also we need to pass via two properties, right? We have seen those anypoint.platform.client_ID, anypoint.platform.client_secret. So this connection will be authenticated, and this guy will get a green signal. Clear?
Yep, clear.
Okay, so I don't want to go ahead and then apply those policies again, show the same demo. So that's from this session. Okay, so we'll stop here, and tomorrow we'll see, how to start the fresh project. Okay, so let me conclude here. Okay, so what we have done so far. So we have seen the complete life cycle. So we started with the design. Okay, we started with design. We publish it. So this is called engagement. we engage with our clients. Then what we did, we have implemented it. Okay. So here, while implementation, we have tested also. Then what we did, we deploy. And then finally, we govern here. In API manager. Okay. So once we govern, now we'll be monitoring it. So once secure, it's deployed and secure, now we'll monitor it. We'll monitor. And in monitoring section, what we'll do, we'll check or we'll look at the KPIs, key performance indicators. We'll see that, we'll see the throughput, we'll see the average response time, number of requests, all these things we'll monitor. And based on that, we'll see that how my API is performing. Okay, that's the last stage. Okay, so now we have deployed it. We can go to our, monitoring section here. Right now on our APIs, if you look at here, select our environment, select our API. So we have sent so many requests for this proxy API. Pick the instance, view. Right, from here, you can see that, right? With this client ID, how many requests are sent? See, 6 requests. This client actually sent 26 requests. So this is, we are monitoring from here. Okay. How many requests? So the client application, my client applications, we are able to see this client trigger this API this many times. And from this IP, the requests are coming.
Okay.
Okay. Let's look at the performance. Performance, it says that, see, we have triggered only customer API, right? Customer resource. See, average response time is this, minimum response time is this, maximum response time is this. Failure, any failure? Today we have not seen any failure, right? So if you go last 3 days, it's showing we have not seen any failure. Requests. Okay, so 13 requests today. Request by method, get and post method. So if you see, I'll just maximize it. So only get and post method. Request by response code 200, 401, 429. We have seen that, right? It's unauthorized, it's okay, and too many requests. We remember these are the status code we have seen. By response size, but very minimal. So that's the reason we are not able to see here. Marks, request size, see here, 100 bytes, hardly any request we have sent, right? So from here we are monitoring. So this will give you my performance of my behavior of my API, how it's working. Okay, you can create a dashboard for this. We have option to create dashboards, but that's not part of our training. We can create custom dashboards, we can create alerts, everything. Okay. My intention is to show you that what all we do in monitoring section. Okay. So now our focus will be on individual sections. Now we'll talk about how to structure the project. Yeah, we'll stop here today.